States Home Learning. Today we are going to take a look at some tricks and tips to end of the semester ASPEN grading and posting. Fun times, everyone. So we know that ASPEN can be a pain in the ASPEN, but there are some fun little tools that I'm going to quick review and then also remind us how to post correctly so we have no issues at the end of the semester and that all grades post correctly and that they end up on our students' transcripts correctly. All right, so let's get started. The first thing, always, you never know what's going on in the world of ASPEN, so you want to make sure that nothing happened and that your gradebook is still in the correct mode and did not, for some reason, go into default mode. So definitely you want to head into your gradebook, so you're going to click on Gradebook, and then you're going to click on Details. And then at the top, you just want to make sure that it is in correct mode. So most people are most likely going to be regular total points. And if you got approval, category total points is good as well. What you don't want to see is gradebook default. If you see that, your grades will not calculate correctly. So please make sure that you are either in total points or category total points. And you do want to make sure that all of your gradebooks, all 5 classes, are that way. So click through all of them and make sure that they are correct. Once you are done with that, you can then do some of these cool little tricks that I'm going to show you. One of them, if you have maybe a few students that are not doing so well in your class and you're just a little confused because maybe you knew them in the past, or you think, you know, I really think that something's going on and you just want to check on them, that you can kind of get a snapshot of how they're doing in all of their classes, and then you can kind of see, all right, is this kid just struggling in general? Are they having a hard time just in my class or what? So that maybe you can have a quick chat with them. So when you're in your roster here, you'll see like this little question mark with a computer. And it says, click to view student information. If you click on that icon, all of their classes that they're in, their teachers, as well as how they're doing in all their classes, and their absences, their tardies, things like that. And it gives you a nice little overview so that you can kind of have a general sense of how they're handling this remote setting. So it's a nice way to kind of get a snapshot before you make your final decision on grades for your kiddos. Another one is, I always recommend before you submitting grades, is just make your assignments, sure your assignments are how you wanted them to be. Sometimes we are clicking too fast and we make extra credit where they're not supposed to be. If you click on assignments, it gives you a rundown of all of your assignments so you can make sure they're exactly what you want them to be. So it'll let you know what category they're all in. And then here it'll let you know if the entire assignment is extra credit, or if you added points on top. So you can take a look here, these first assignments here, that means the assignment itself is not extra credit, but you can see that this teacher added a point, that the student had the ability to get an extra credit point on top of the regular points. So that's why there's points here. But if you scroll down, you can see that at the end of the term, he did allow for one of his assignments to be fully extra credit. So the entire assignment, all 40 points, were extra credit points. There were no regular points in that one. This is a great way to make sure that your assignments are exactly how you wanted them to be. It's a nice little overview of your assignments to make sure you are grading with equity.
Yeah, let's go. All right.
The next thing that some teachers like to ask me is whether or not they should drop an assignment or drop a quiz or like that lowest score. And I always say, well, you want to think about that equity and how it would impact that student grade. And sometimes it's hard to kind of do the math, especially if there's a bunch of assignments and things like that. Well, there's a very cool trick in Gradebook that actually does it for you. And it's a nice thing that you actually could use all year long. If you kind of run this report, then you can tell a kid, hey, if you redo this assignment, you retake this test, or maybe you're missing this assignment, this is how much it's going to change your grade if you do it. So go ahead and you click on scores, and then you click on reports, and then down here there's a report that says Student Advantage Report. You're going to click on that, and you can choose if you want it in a PDF, an Excel, a CVS. For this purpose, I'll just quick do a PDF so you can see it, and click Run. Now, as you can see, let me make it a little bit bigger for you. This is telling you which assignment, if they redid, or if you dropped that assignment because it's their lowest score, how it would impact that student's grade. So you can see that some students, it would not make a big of a difference, so it's okay to drop it. It would make me 1 percentage point. But you can see that some of them, this student here would go from a 68 to a 71, so now we go from a D to a C. So that would be a nice little bump in that student's grades. So you can kind of see that on average, if we drop that lowest assignment, students would get a nice little bump from about 1 to 2 percentage points. So now you can kind of think to yourself, is that we're in a remote setting, is that a fair thing to do? And if you think that's a good thing to do, all you have to do is go back to your details, head down to the bottom here where it says drop mode, and make that decision. You can say drop lowest overall score, or if you think most of them are in the same category, drop lowest score by category, and make that decision and click save, and it'll automatically drop that for you. You don't even need to go in and do it individually. It'll be one foul swoop for you, and that'll kind of help those kids and do a little curve on its own for you.
From that failure, gain humility, and then we keep marching. And we go back. This is the moment.
All right, and the big question, making sure we post correctly. Now, to post, remember, this is super important. If we do not post correctly, that grade will not transfer onto the student's transcript. So we need to make sure we do it correctly. There are a few key things we need to remember. Number one, we need to make sure we follow all the steps to post. If we only do half of it, it will not make it onto the transcript. The other thing is if we post and then we get more late work or we change our mind and we add things, the grade will change on our end and on the student's end, but if we don't repost, that new grade will not make it onto the transcript. And so you need to make sure that whenever you change anything in gradebook, you need to then repost before the deadline, or that change in gradebook will not make it onto the official transcript. So to post, go back to scores. And the very first thing you want to do is make sure that you get a good picture of how your students are doing. So you're going to switch where it says term right here. You want to switch it to all. So the first thing that confuses people, and I'm not really sure why ASPEN does this, is it gives you the cumulative score of quarter one, and it gives you the cumulative score of quarter two. It does not show you what their actual semester one grade is. So for example, here's a good example right here. This student here, quarter one, had an A, quarter two had a C. So to see what their actual grade is, if we clicked all, let's take a look. So their cumulative semester one grade is an 83% with a B. But when you're in your posting world, it only is showing you what they got in quarter one, and then it only shows you in quarter two. It is not showing you your cumulative grade. Once you post, the cumulative grade shows up in the final grade. And that's where it gets a little bit confusing. So I just wanted to point that out. So once you're here, update the post columns. Again, term 2. Update term for all students. You're going to click next. The most important thing is you need to switch from average overall to average cumulative. That is going to make sure that the quarter one and the quarter two are combined to create that average cumulative. And then you're going to click next, and then finish. Once you do that, now all this is going to fill in, and you'll have that cumulative grade in there. From there, you're going to then be able to fill in those actual comments that you want for quarter or for semester one. You are then going to post the grades. So once you're here, you're going to click on options. You're going to go to post grades. Make sure it says term. You're going to say term grades for all students, and OK. You need to do both steps. So you're going to update the columns, making sure it's cumulative, and then you're going to post the columns. Once again, if you change any of the grades, you then need to do both steps a second time. I hope that was helpful. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, share with your friends, like, comment, and definitely subscribe because that always helps. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.